This is Patitos Gang, and what sweet feeling to be back. It's hard to see a show that parents watch and want their children to watch.
The gang became a mirror, the issues in society, and it did it real time.
Government just needs to mirror Patitos Gang and say, let us create an enabling environment for entrepreneurship to thrive.
Truth and the pursuit of truth can be very lonely track to travel. Once your path is the path of truth, it doesn't matter if there are so many who are doing the wrong thing.
There are many sides to the truth. So someone is analyzing this particular policy today, and he's looking at it from a totally different dimension from the government that actually put forward the policy.
Out of 200 million people, we can't have a recycled politician over and over and over again.
Television shows come and go, they end, but people just didn't seem to want to let go of Patitos Gang on the streets of Melbourne, Australia, down under. And some guys start screaming from a and I'm wondering, no, it's not possible. It can be. Democracy and modernity meet where a marketplace of ideas is created and rational public conversation takes place. Patitos Gang is part of Nigerian legend. This is Patitos Gang, and what sweet feeling to be back. And we've got Ubong Essien, we've got Salvation Alibo, and we've got Gamaliel. I mean, when you're Gamaliel, Gamaliel is enough. An ode to Patitos Gang. In a very strange way, Patitos Gang is part of Nigerian legend. I've been stopped by people all over the world who have said, hey, we've not seen Patitos Gang for weeks, months. What's happened? And all of that. And I keep thinking, television shows come and go, they end, but people just didn't seem to want to let go of Patitos Gang. I have had really interesting experiences in a variety of places. My favorite, on the streets of Melbourne, Australia, down under. Boulevard, downtown Melbourne. 3 lines, demarcation in the middle, 3 lanes. And some guys start screaming from a Patitos Gang. And I'm wondering, no, it's not possible. It can't be. And this guy, of course, Nigerian, literally runs across those 6 lanes, risking being knocked down, and comes to me and tells me a story of how his life was literally shaped by Patitos Gang. And it was a very gratifying thing. However, the question is, why did Patitos Gang come to be? Just a little about what drove it. Patitos Gang came with the return to democracy in Nigeria. Civil society had been very strong under the military, trying to keep the military in check. As we were returning to democracy, civil society lowered its guard. Politicians were running wild all over the place in 1999. And for some reason, it kept coming to me that this is not what democracy is supposed to be. And my favorite philosopher of the public sphere, the German Jürgen Habermas, always there saying, in my head, democracy and modernity meet where a marketplace of ideas is created and rational public conversation takes place. Now, society can then take the best and use it to advance the common good of all and the well-being of everybody. And I am thinking, that's not exactly happening. We're not having a rational public conversation. The idea of something that can make that happen just sparked. Of course, in life, there's a bit of imitation in everything. There's a show that I was very fond of called Capital Gang in Washington, and another one, McLaughlin and Company, from out of the US. And I thought, if you can take elements from McLaughlin and Co., Capital Gang, and some things that I can create, and create a platform for rational public conversation in Nigeria, it would be a decent contribution. And so the idea of Patitos Gang was forged in my head. And its structure at the very beginning was a 90-minute show, 90 minutes. There was, of course, the gang, which is us here sitting as the gang. There was, and the gang was in two levels. There was a gang, senior gang. There was a junior gang. Ubong here, Ubong used to moderate the junior gang.
We called it Patitos Gang Phase 2, not Junior Gang.
Patitos Gang 2. Yeah, because they were sharper, smarter, younger people.
Not necessarily.
And then there was Bullseye. Somebody in the heart of major policy issue looked him eyeball to eyeball. Production quality was fantastic. Producer was American, or director, or both. And the crane shots, we had to use the best studio in the country at that time, LTV Studios in Ikeja. And one episode took us an entire day to produce. And we had a segment reserved for youth, usually undergraduates, well, the parliament. This was, yes, Market Square, moderated at that time by the late Austin Mweze.
Well, Prof, I think for me, the gang became a mirror. It mirrored the issues in society, and it did it real time. As issues emerged, came onto the front burner, you were sure there was a next Patitos Gang episode to get on that matter. And in doing so, it held a mirror to people who were in positions of responsibility to get a sense of how the generality of Nigerians were either feeling or thinking about those issues in the real time, whether it was a very local issue or something that had international dimensions to it. I remember conversations such as one of the very popular ones that we talked about then was the spate of decline of visas. It was very rampant at the time, and a lot of people spoke about it, and the gang mirrored it.
And you know, we had field reports.
Yes, and
so
yes,
not
field
just
reporting.
all those on,
Yes.
the gang, but we had cameras go to the
Yes.
streets and talk to people. So it was as democratic as you could get.
Yeah, and we talked about, I mean, nothing was off the list. Sports was on the list, politics, the economy, basic things that affected people in generally was always going to be on Patitos Gang. And one of the interesting things I found was that whatever the senior gang missed, you could be sure that when we got to the parliament, well, Gang 2 would pick up. We were always very interested, more interested in what affected the younger people. That's why we talked about, for many who wanted to jackpot at the time, who were not getting visas, we had to talk about it and call everybody out. But I think that the market square, you always had those, the audience, that was really the pool where people could ask questions and surface what I would say the inconvenient side. Because sometimes the senior gang, you did have some members of the gang who were convenient discussants. Yes, who were convenient discussants, understandably. But when it got to the market square, with the way it opened up, you started then, the late Austin Mweze continued, young people could speak. The likes of Taiwo Akerele would ask very radical questions, and all in a bid to get answers. So it was all inclusive, and I think that was what made Patitos Gang tick the way it did. It reflected all of us.
Yes, inclusion. Inclusion is a powerful thing. When we started, President Obasanjo was in power, and there was nothing they didn't go to him to say to him about. You see, Patrick Tommy started that thing so that they can abuse you. And after a while, like every human being in these things, he got very offended with me. I had chaired the committee that worked on policy for him as candidate of Obasanjo, and we had established a certain relationship of quarreling from back then. And so he took, somebody will go and meet up, will call me, say, Baba is very upset with you. I said, why is he upset with me? That they said the Patitos Gang is to abuse him. I said, okay. Let him tell him it's democracy. Waziri Mohammed called me. They say, they say that you have joined this Bola Tinubu in AD. That is because of it that you are abusing Obasanjo. I said, me. It's okay. My AD card, even though I don't have one, I can display it on Patitos Gang. You know, we made light of it, but truth and the pursuit of truth can be very lonely track to travel. You know, and it takes, I guess, something. I often used to say to people when they say to me, my friend, calm down. I have no opinion. This is a collection of opinions of all these people who are here. I just want it to be aired. There's no, I don't care about my own point of view. I'll put it down there like everybody else. But remember Elijah and the prophets on Baal. Once your path is the path of truth, it doesn't matter if there are so many who are doing the wrong thing. So it was costly, but did it have any real impact? The society, some people argue that it didn't change. Nigeria just got worse and worse in spite of those ideas.
And the truth with the Patitos Gang is the fact that it brought intellectual honesty, democratized opinions. That was really the value it gave to the populace. Okay, this show, they came to believe in it because they could see the honesty in the conversations. Like you said, there are many sides to the truth. Okay, so someone is analyzing this particular policy today, and he's looking at it from a totally different dimension from the government that actually put forward the policy. And then there's someone else on the show who is probably thinking on the side of the government, thinking, okay, this is probably what they want to solve. Okay, so do we jettison this to follow your own idea? So it brought this kind of democratized opinions, okay, and then the intellectual honesty was very palpable to everybody. So people could look towards the show to say, okay, I want to make a sense of what this government is even talking about. This policy they want to talk about, I'm very sure it's going to come up on Patitos Gang, okay? This burning issue in the country today. And so when it comes up, I used to roll like that catchphrase. And we are right back.
We are back. That was straight back.
That was so beautiful to watch, you know. So, and that was it. So people just wanted to make sense of what is happening in the society, and then Patitos Gang was providing it for them.
And another thing about it was, it's hard to see a show that parents watch and want their children to watch. That's a very unique thing, because I've met people all over. I met one fellow in Philadelphia at the airport, and he's a consultant. I don't know, one of the big five or whatever. You know, was flying, and he saw me at the airport, and he ran and said, "Look, I became what I am because of Patitos Gang." I said, my father will wake us up because he used to run late at night. Wake us up. Hey, wake up. Come and watch television. Come and watch television. And I thought, oh, that's nice. Poor fellows lost their sleep because of this thing.
And you know something, probably good side to Patitos Gang was the editorial dimension. There was no room for censorship. What was the prevailing value was the conversation, the issue, the burning issue. And so when we all showed up, you could expect a variety of arguments around the issue. Absolutely. And so you couldn't really preempt. So if there was going to be any measure of control from prop, it just was not going to work on a Patitos Gang.
I could just stop P.D. Jason, by the way, one of those I didn't mention when talking about those who have gone. I could stop P.D. Jason from expressing his view. Which is why we wanted people of that caliber that you couldn't say, my friend, what are you saying? You know, and that really did have effect. But another part, Gamaliel, on this, which I found was interesting, is besides all that talk about policy, politics, and social life, if you will, there was continuous effort to teach entrepreneurship. Some people thought it was actually an extension of the business school. I remember a former dean of the Lagos Business School used to say to me that when they interview people applying to the MBA, a good, significant majority said
Yeah.
they were coming there to get formally what they were hearing of
That's
Patitos
right.
Gang. You know.
There was.
So many of those people, their careers were literally doctored by listening to ideas. Yet, I think that we didn't succeed enough because the spirit of enterprise is not as strong as it should be in Nigeria. In my view, we still have a country dominated by rent seeking. People want to extract rent and all of that. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take a break. When we come back, maybe Gamelia can lead off on how does the spirit of enterprise, which Patitos Gang gave so much to making come alive, really manage to become the culture? Because we cannot make progress unless we begin to produce in this country. Okay, we'll be back. This is Patitos Gang. We are back. This is Patitos Gang, and we are remembering Patitos Gang as it has been. 26 years or so ago, it came on air. And one of the first commentaries around where it was coming from and going came from the then Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, by the way, Engineer Vincent Maduka, who had known me from when I was a kid in Loyola College in Ibadan. And he had seen 3 episodes, I think. I was in the Hilton in Abuja. He saw me. He said, Patrick, brilliant, beautiful, wonderful, but it's not sustainable. I said, Jabawa, you know, too expensive to produce. The technical quality is not realistically what you can do every week. You won't be able to find the resources to keep this on air. Turned out he was right, but not immediately. I mean, we managed dramatically to keep this on air. 1, 2, third year, as a 90-minute show with those extraordinary shots that were coming from the sky and all of those things from our crazy producer director, Lloyd Weaver. And then, of course, we then cut it to 1 hour and later to 30 minutes, you know, drop in technical quality, but the conversation remained the same. But one thing that was constant in those conversations, entrepreneurship. How do we stimulate enterprise? Did we fail? Because our country has not really become an entrepreneurial country. It's a money-making country. People idolize the money, they worship it in many ways, but that's not an enterprise. You can't sustain it. It's only stealing. You're taking from one pocket and putting in another pocket, and all of that, most of it.
So, Patitos Gang has always been the marketplace of ideas. And because we speak to power, the best we can do is to speak to policy or speak about policy, the macro and the micro components. Because we are not policy makers, there's very little we can do. However, I do not think that Patitos Gang has failed because the statistics say that the informal sector account for between 40 to 45 of our sector component. MSMEs are largely creating jobs, paying taxes. Maybe what we should do, like Ubong said, is for the government to mirror the show and create enabling environment for entrepreneurship to thrive. Tax cuts, tax rebate, infrastructure. So kudos to Patitos Gang because a lot of businesses have embedded from this place. And we are still counting them. So I think that, like Ubong said, government just needs to mirror Patitos Gang and say, let us create an enabling environment for entrepreneurship to thrive. Politics should not be a second address. As it were, so you should just go in, serve 4 years, and move on. Because out of 200 million people, we can't have a recycled politician over and over and over again. So Patitos Gang has come to stay. It's a marketplace of ideas, and entrepreneurship will still continue to thrive, as it were.
Beyond the roles that government play. The enterprise ecosystem is both government backed and private backed.
Absolutely.
Majorly, I would say largely in the private backed individuals. Okay. For the populace to get into entrepreneurship, there has to be that individual awareness that this is a path to go and this is how to go about it. I think if you're trying to measure the growth of entrepreneurship from when Patitos Gang started about being 26 years ago till now, you see that entrepreneurship has actually gained ascendancy. It has grown, okay? And more persons have gone into it. It's not about how many persons are adopting it, but how many persons know the how. All right, how many persons can actually veer into entrepreneurship, execute it without feeling stalled or frustrated. And sometimes when the common man is feeling frustrated, he takes it out as the problem of the government. But most times, largely, it's because they don't know the how. He does not know how entrepreneurship works. Okay, I think when we're having these conversations, we should also have the conversations on you need to know how this is done. Okay, it is important to embrace entrepreneurship, but if you want to go into it, this is go learn how it is done. There are hand-holding systems in place that can help you. Now, from the side of the government, like Dominic was saying, there are roles that government plays, but these are mainly policy kind of roles.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say that government tried probably to adopt the entrepreneurship enabling policies. I remember there was the jail program and different programs, but they appeared more like wound dressings. Okay. Like they were very
strategic at all.
It wasn't strategic. It wasn't institutionalized.
Long plan.
Okay, yes, there was no plan to it. Granted, there were a lot of entrepreneurs that came out of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, but most of the persons really didn't follow through. It wasn't sustainable at the end of the day. So, government role should really be in providing the hand-holding systems, all right, that can help an entrepreneur navigate its path. All right, information centers, scholarships to learn how to run this. All right, there's enterprise development center. There's Smeden. There are places where they can get useful information. Government can make access to this knowledge and information free for those who really have the brilliant ideas to do it, and then the policies really to make the kind of fund that an entrepreneur, a startup business needs. Because not every fund, like bank, is not where you go to when you want to start a business.
Well, your debt equity ratio is a function of the nature of the business. Some businesses start them heavily on debt. You're dead from some might be more inclined to that, and so on and so forth. But just before we go, and we have to go now, a quick one about talking about capital and funding. The mystery of how Patitos Gang has stayed on air for more than decades. Nigerian elite fear truth. They like it, but they're afraid. They don't want to touch it. Famous is a statement that I publicized in a column years ago. A very good friend of mine, very successful banker, and loved the show so much. He calls me and says, "Oh, Pat, what a fantastic show." And I said to him, "I'm glad you love it. We need some advertising from you." And he goes, "Oh, you guys are too candid on that show. I don't want those people in Abuja to think I'm the one putting you on the it. But the day you do sports, let me know. I'll pay 3 times as much on the space so that you can use the money to do
the more candid show.
Been the strategy, Maybe there should have been a sister show that people could sponsor for
3 times,
and then use it to pay for Patitos. Because I remember last night we were having a chat with Chief Obasanjo, and he said, I am part, we have this frenemy relationship. We're friends sometimes, and then we're enemies sometimes. He talks too much. He acknowledged the fact that some of the facts are needed to, give an angle, a different angle, different perspective to someone in leadership. But then he says, sometimes it's something you could have told me.
He's
And
fine.
I agree with him sometimes. Sometimes you should just call you and just tell you, but then Patitos Gang was really important show.
Perhaps you should ask Prof how he's managed to support that program. Of course, there were other areas of support. But how have you not gone broke, Prof?
Well, I've always been broke. People just don't know. The part of it that I find the most interesting is that in the early days, particularly, when businesses were scared to advertise, the people that supported us were actually government parastatals. And that is the paradox. I mean, when NS Ndukwe ran NCC, when Bello Gwandu ran Nigerian Ports Authority, Ferdinand Ago and NIMASA, they gave us significant funding that kept Patitos Gang on air. And so when I think of it, you are afraid that government should think you are supporting this show, but government agencies
He's also
are
funding
supporting it. It was a paradox that, but it shows that it's personality based.
Yeah, it is.
Those individuals, of course, when NS Ndukwe left NCC, Bello Gwandu left, Ferdinand Ago left, those possibilities declined and stuff like that.
And for me, I think that, Prof, with the advent of social media and technology, I do not think the Patitos Gang will be dying anytime soon. YouTube is the greatest enabler. I mean, streams and streams. So we just have to be consistent. By the time we churn out this content, business schools take it, they can go back there, refer the MBA candidate, go and check, do and check. So I think it should be self-funded. But some people might not be associated with you in public, but they will in private because of your goodwill. And I'm very, very sure that this show will definitely outlast you. I'm very, very sure.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got to go. Wonderful looking back, and hope that we can see the future as clearly as we are seeing the past. This country, I used to say, will rise up again. In fact, ringtone on my phone for many years was Nigeria will rise up again. Nigeria will rise up again. Anyway, here's believing that Patitos Gang will be a small part of Nigeria's rise up again. We'll see you next week.